So this is another one of those little videos about talking about our members. And today we have Liz Springs, who is one of our more colourful members, as you can see from her hair.
I don't know what you mean.
First question for you, Liz, is who are you?
I'm the crazy loud American lady. I believe that's most of the nicknames I've had thrown at me. The crazy loud American lady that gives good hugs.
I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to be able to publish after this. Okay, who are you in terms of a Garrison member?
I have been a member for about 7 years now. I am also now the Garrison Diversity and Accessibility Officer. I have a Imperial Officer, and I do Director Izzard from the comic books.
Why did you join the UK Garrison?
Growing up in the States, Halloween is a big deal. We all go all out, especially down south. And that whole getting dressed up, having fun, all that kind of thing, that kind of always carried over with me. You know, I spent months planning my Halloween costumes. So when sort of costuming and cosplay started becoming a bigger thing here, that really caught my notice because I like dressing up. I think it was about 2016. I joined a local group with a Jedi costume, fell in love with twi'leks, and got my first pair of Leko, which is now an obsessive compulsive disorder. I have about 5 pairs.
Sounds like costuming in general.
Well, yeah, you know. Well, you know how the formulation goes. It's N+1, and that is N being the number of costumes I have.
I thought it was more a case of the number of costumes that you have against the number of costumes that you admit that you have.
Oh, no, I admit how many I have. If you ask how many I have in various levels of progress, that will be a different number.
So how many costumes do you have in progress?
I have a Jawa that is most of the way there. I still need a mask, and that's about it, actually, for the Jawa. I have a Rebel Fleet Trooper that the vest doesn't finish. Otherwise, I've got everything. Endor Leia. I don't have the boots, and that poncho is about enough to give me PTSD. Because this is the other thing you fall down. See, I make my costumes because I'm too poor to buy them. So then you start getting obsessed and you sit watching films and you're there going, pause, 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 and trying to see exactly where the seams are or what type of seam it is. Like the fact that that poncho has a rolled French hem, and yeah. The front cowl of that poncho is a demon. So yeah, that one is still very much in progress. Bombshell's Batwoman from those comic books. I have a few in various stages from the Bombshells comic book series because I have a real love for pin-up stuff. So like Bombshell's Batwoman, I've got the baseball bat.
That's always a good start.
And I've got the hat, I've got the socks, and I've got the belt, and the dress is about halfway made. I mean, I've even gone so far as I've made the velvet individual letters to make up the whole back of the uniform. I have a Peggy Carter to the point where the buttons on that are actually vintage US military uniform buttons that I found when I was back home one summer. She is not quite real icon standards because she has to have the pocket lapels, which it's the British uniform but with the American buttons, and that didn't have those pockets, and I'm terrified to cut that jacket up and put the fake pockets on it. So that's as far as that one's got.
Is there any particular reason you choose particular costumes? Or does it just depend on the costume?
I think the Jedi was, I mean, it's a pretty recognizable thing. It's also comparatively an easy costume to make for the first thing that I made, any club. But I also have a martial arts background and a general interest in weaponry, as I look up at the swords and blasters hanging on the wall in this room. So being able to idly swing a weapon around is fun. So it's things that appeal to me. And it's like with the twi'lek and the Leko, it's something that makes it it's a bit more than just somebody in a costume because it's got the prosthetics as well.
Yeah.
And I do love special effects makeup and that kind of thing. I'm quite interested in playing around with special effects makeup, horror makeup, all those kind of things. I have a fantastic recipe for fake blood and things like that. So it's things that are a little bit different. And I mean, like Izzard, it was really striking. It's a full red uniform, and when you compare that to the all black officer kits, the olive drab, or even generally the ISB is still black pants and a white tunic. So to be that all in red with the striking hair and the two-tone eyes, she just kind of, and actually, to be fair, it was a suggestion by a friend who said about doing that one. And I looked at the comic book and I was just like, and I read a little bit about her. I was like, that's a real kind of boss bitch outfit.
It's certainly a
like
standout costume.
So I like things that are a little bit different. And I do like looking at the different aliens and just taking it that bit of a step forward to be a bit more immersive.
How long did Izzard take you to do?
That's a good. No, I probably spent a year on her. I mean, it helped. I'd already got the boots from the officer. It was a case of like getting a black lace-fronted wig to put the white in the front of it, and yeah.
Was that one of your longer costumes, or?
I think technically the original officer one was, because I am not a skinny girl and I grew up riding horses, so I have leg muscles on leg muscles, and finding boots that would fit was a nightmare. So it was actually more a case of finding a pair of boots that I could afford, because I couldn't spend £300 on custom made to measure boots. So I found some display boots from an equestrian store on eBay for, I think it was about £80, down from £250, because they've been on display and been tried on. And then I spent 6 months stretching them.
6 months?
Yes, because you have to put the special boot stretching stuff on them and then keep adding these extra wooden wedges so that they stretch to the right shape still. That was the longest.
I must admit, it's when we're costuming in general, seeing officers put their boots on is always quite entertaining, because virtually every officer I see just has serious issues getting boots on. They get the hooks out.
And getting them off.
It's even best. It's the only time you'll ever see Vader sitting down with 5 people trying to help them get their boots off. It's just hilarious.
So it was an MCM London troop, and just my boots were not playing fair that day, and I'd got the hooks, and I was I was laid on the floor with my leg in the air, because the blood comes out of your leg and you can kind of do that. Because getting kitted up in an officer is literally, you pull the bottoms on, don't do them up. Because if you cannot slip straight in your boots or bend down far enough, then yeah, you need to do that so that you can bend. And on this occasion, I was laid on the floor. I got the boot hooks in. I'm pulling. It's still not working. I'm getting stressed. And Stefan, bless him, grabbed a t-shirt and a pair of pliers, and he wrapped the teeth of the pliers in the t-shirt so it didn't damage my boots. And he's got hold of the back part of my boots with these pliers, and he's also pulling.
Okay. So the new technique is use t-shirt and pliers to pull boots on.
As well as boot hooks. Yep. That can be a thing. I mean, honestly, when I joined the Rebel Scum first. I joined Rebel Legion first.
Be nice. We call them Rebel Legion. We joke about them, but that...
Originally, it was another friend of mine that was costuming had said, "I've just cleared with RL. Why don't you clear as well? And then we can go to the big events." And I was like, "Hey, that could be fun." So I did that. It was doing MCM London, and by a complete twist of fate, I ended up in the mostly UKG filled changing room, because the little officer type conference rooms.
Yep.
And I ended up in that little corner, and they came in and they were saying, right, induction thing for new members. And I was like, well, I'm Rebel Legion, but I'm still new. And a certain someone said, "Oh, that's fine. You can come on as well." And that was how I met Steve, or Fifi.
Ah, Fifi.
Fifi, and I think it was Darren as well. And they were so nice and so helpful, welcoming, any questions you got. And I wasn't even a UKG member at the time. And it was really, really nice.
We do try to be nice.
And it kind of went completely countery to the rumors I'd heard prior about Garrison attitude, and it just blew that out of the water for me.
See, Imperials are actually quite really nice people generally.
Stupidly thought, and I say this, but anybody who is thinking of joining, if you think to yourself, I'd like to join the UKG. I'm not sure where to start. I know. I'll start with an officer uniform because they look really easy to do.
Yes.
As I found out, those seams. Oh, that was fun. So I did the black kit first, and then to tie back to your loop back round to your question about Izzard, I did there are two people I'm thinking of, two other dear boss babe ladies who will roll their eyes at this. I got Izzard cleared, and the thing that people don't tell you is actually it's what you see that is cleared.
Yeah.
So the fact that the tunic crosses over, it doesn't tell you, and the CRLs don't say anything about how it is underneath. So some people have hooks. I don't. I have a zip because it's easier for my hands, and why go all out with something that's not going to be seen as long as it stays done up? Well done. So I got Izzard cleared just before November, Mem. And I think I was doing RL on the Saturday and UKG on the Sunday. So it was going to be the unveiling of Izzard's first troop. Yeah. My dumb rear end thought it'd be a great idea to change the zip that weekend.
Just before you're about to troop with it.
I was literally there in my hotel room, 1 o'clock in the morning, after the UKG bashed, so not in my best frame of mind. And I decide to remove the zip and replace it with a stronger one. So I am sat there at 1 o'clock in the morning, worse for wear, hand sewing a zip into my tunic.
Okay.
And I fell asleep doing it.
Did you wake up at like 5 o'clock going, oh no, I need to get it finished?
No, I woke up in time for the alarm where you've got to pack up, check out, and haul butt over to the hall. So instead, I'm there at 7 o'clock in the morning before the briefing, furiously trying to finish hand sewing this.
But you got there in the end.
I did, but it still gives those other ladies nightmares if it comes up in conversation.
Now we've got it recorded for all posterity, so everyone will know about it.
Yeah, this is kind of like a costuming how to not.
The obvious question then is actually going to be, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking of joining the UK Garrison? Don't choose an officer. That's the first part.
Or rather, if you choose an officer, choose it because you really like it, not because you think it's going to be easy. Unless you can just buy everything, and then you don't need to have nightmares about princess seams. My advice would be, don't assume that you need to already have a costume. Don't think you need to have everything already done and ready to join. We have so many members and armors and all of this amazing community who are more than happy to offer you advice, do's and don'ts. Don't try sewing half drunk at 1 o'clock in the morning, for example. But there's this whole wealth of support there, even if it's down to, well, this vendor's great, that vendor's great, this vendor takes about 6 months to get back to you with your order. All those kind of things. Don't think you need to go it alone. Obviously, you need to be a cleared member to troop, but up to that point, you can still join the forums, you can still make friends, you can still ask advice. I mean, that's the great thing about the whips, is you can post all your steps on there and you've literally got your own Obi-Wan giving you feedback.
I need to point out a whip is actually a work in progress, and I think
not an Indiana Jones thing.
Although we do Indiana Jones costumes if you want to join Real Icons.
We do indeed. That's the other thing though. I think people think UK Garrison, they think Darth Vader, Death Star,
Stormtroopers,
but we have Rebel Command, we have droids, which are my favorite thing. Literally,
I love my droid.
So,
ooh,
R2 is my favorite character of all time in the whole all of it. I have an R2 tattoo. I love him. My favorite character out of all of them. So yes, the fact that we have droids. If you see me at an event and there are droids, do not be too surprised if I am talking to the droid.
You'll be surprised at the number of people who do talk to the droids.
I really wouldn't. I know there's some videos floating around of me having an argument with R5.
And a bit R5 lost.
Yes, actually.
Moving on very slightly. Favorite trooping moment?
Oh, that's a good question. I've got a lot.
Is there something that stands out in particular?
I love the high fives. I love high fiving kids. I am probably the smiliest officer out there. And I will dip out of parades to high five children. I mean that was what was really great about the Legoland troops, because it was just kids galore and kids in absolute awe of these characters. I mean, I spend a lot of time with Wookiees. I am a professional Wookiee wrangler.
Do they smell as bad as they supposed to smell?
No, most of them actually smell fabulous because they all spray their kits with show sheen. So they actually just smell like show horses.
Okay, from a Wookiee to a show horse.
Just don't get caught with one in the rain. And they really do smell. But it's things like that. And there was one, I think it must have been Birmingham again, and Darren tried to get as many. They just happened to work out that because we got the Cantina band and the way things were laid out at the time, there were actually quite a few female members milling around in kit. And he got this picture, and we had, I think there was a twi'lek, there was some female pilots, we got a few female officers, and it just was actually quite a few of us. But what struck me, he said that he loved the picture, but that was probably the most female members all in kit he'd got together, he'd caught in the wild at one time.
Caught in the wild.
Yeah.
Moving on. Favorite Star Wars film? Anyone would think you haven't seen these videos before.
That could get me like lynched or something, depending on my response. Oh, but I could really, really divide the Garrison if I turned around and said something like, the Christmas special.
Ooh, I haven't heard that one before.
Going to, but okay.
You actually enjoyed the Christmas special. I mean, the Christmas special is one of those, I would suggest that 95% of people who say how bad it was have never actually watched it.
I would agree on that one. And I do like to confuse every now and again by saying Happy Life Day. I don't know, as an 80s kid, I probably get it more than younger members, just because it was all these people who were very popular at the time.
Mm.
And anything with the Arthur in it is worth a watch.
No, that's a perfectly valid reason for.
I like the Ewoks movie. I love Ewoks. The fact that they're like cute Care Bears on meth who eat stormtroopers.
See, I hate Ewoks because I costume as a scout trooper, so Ewoks
you hate Ewoks
they eat
and
me.
Trees, then that's you.
Let's not talk about trees.
But no, we won't. As a parent, on the other hand, I can completely relate to Yoda just completely having had enough of Luke's questions and just laying down and dying.
Okay, moving on.
Oh dear.
We're down to the last two questions. Quick answer one for you. Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
And if you could have dinner with anyone in the Star Wars universe, who would it be? And that includes actors or characters.
I mean, obviously through trooping, I've had the privilege to meet quite a few various people. I mean, one of the things that will always be that I'm in awe of, I guess, is that Jeremy Bulloch knew my name, and anytime I saw him at events, he would call out to me and come and say hi if he was walking by. That really touched me. Vader.
Okay. Would you be as your character, or would you be as yourself?
As me.
Vader did seem to have a bit of an attitude issue with guests at dinner. All of them have sort of survived.
Vader is a far more complex character than people give him credit for. And Vader is not truly a villain, in my opinion.
I think that's one of those things that we have to let people make their own decisions.
I think the amount of trauma that character went through, it's a far more complex character than just good guy, bad guy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I think Vader, it'd be an interesting conversation if he would actually open up and not just go straight for force choking.
Yeah, we have to avoid the force choking before at least the entree has appeared. Anyway, Liz, I've used up plenty of your time for this. So thank you very much for having a chat and probably giving the most in-depth interview in relation to your costuming experience that I've ever covered. And it's been entertaining. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for letting me ramble.
Thanks very much. And we'll see everyone on the next one.
Bye.